For the past year and a half, Coronation Street viewers have been gripped by the sad tale of Paul's MND journey, which came to an end just a few weeks ago. During his time on Coronation Street, Paul's memorable moments have included skinny dipping in a lake, stripping in front of the bishop, and dancing to that PJ and Duncan classic, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Peter Ash has kindly come onto the podcast today to reminisce about his time on the cobbles. Peter, welcome to Conversation Street.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah, and thanks for
That's
the
all right.
intro. It was great.
Utter honor to have you on here. I mean, I have
Oh, bless you.
loved this story. It's been, one of my highlights of Coronation Street, definitely for the past couple of years. I've really, really found it fascinating. I wanted to say as well, well done on your NTA award just the other week.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm still, I think, coming down from that. Really, it was amazing.
Yeah, well, you
But
you
yeah, as I
bookended
said,
your time on Coronation Street quite nicely, didn't it? One at the start, one at the end.
absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to say that I couldn't have asked for a better way to end my time on Corrie.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I'm really chuffed about that. They're both
Yeah.
sat on my mantelpiece now.
Well, I hope David Nielsen congratulated you after you pipped him to the post as well.
Oh, he did, bless him. He was a true gent about it. He really was.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have to say, as phenomenal an actor as David is, I think it would have been a travesty to have gone to anyone but you this year. I thank you
No.
so much from the Corrie community. You got this story so right, Peter. How are you feeling now? Kind of the dust is settled and it's all over.
Oh, kind of overwhelmed in the best possible way. I mean, the response to the storyline has been beyond anything I think we ever expected, any of us.
Mm.
So it's so nice that so many people have resonated with this story, and the fact that we've been able to raise awareness for such a cruel disease. That's just an extra layer of it, which is
Mm.
you don't often get as an actor. So it's an amazing, privilege to have been trusted with this storyline.
You talked about the raising awareness, and often when we have these issues-based stories on Coronation Street, there's the talk of raising awareness. So then what exactly would you say were some of the messages that Coronation Street wanted to get across about MND, and do you think they managed it?
Um, well, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say that's something that Corrie are always very good at. When it's an issue-led storyline like this, they always do the research and the homework, and they portray it right. With this especially, I think, and I think it was just kind of showing the public about MND and that, in most cases, um, they're still 100% the same up here
Mm.
in the mind. It's just the body is slowly failing.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, I think, alongside Rob Burrows' story and, Doddy Weir and things like that, I think we've really pushed M&D into the public spotlight. And, I'm so grateful to be part of that, if in any small kind of way, really.
Yeah. Well, did you remember what your reaction was when you first were told that this is where Paul's journey was going?
It was a bit of a shock. I remember,
Mhm.
going from a meeting with Ian, and I wasn't expecting to be told that,
No.
this was going to fall onto our laps, really. So, but I've always said it was mixed emotions. Obviously, sad because it was an eventual exit storyline.
Mm.
Obviously, there was no cure yet, sadly, for M&D. So we knew it was going to be an eventual exit for Paul. Um, but like I said, I also felt quite honoured and kind of privileged to be trusted with such an impactful storyline.
Mm.
Um, I knew next to nothing about M&D as well. So straight after that meeting with Ian, I kind of started my research and was like, wow, actually, yeah, this is going to be tough, but
Yeah.
important as well. And then obviously I don't know how much you know, but Dan obviously has a personal connection with it. His grandfather sadly passed with M&D. So he was obviously a great source of insight and information for me. Um, so yeah, at the beginning it was pretty terrifying. A
Did,
lot
did
of
you
pressure.
realize did you realize just how far Corrie wanted to take Paul's physical deterioration? Because I think that's one of the things that struck many Corrie viewers is just how, by the end of it, Paul could barely even move. Did you know that that was where it was going to go for you?
No, no, at the beginning there was never a set kind of timeline of this will happen and this will happen. And even to the extent we didn't know how far Paul, the illness would be taken with Paul. Because obviously, I'm thinking I'm just an actor. I don't really have any date. It's going to be tough
Mm.
to portray that right to the end. Um, but like I said, with the researchers and help with the MND Association, I mean, they helped with the storyline from day one and have been amazing. Um, yeah, I had no idea, like, just how physical it would get,
Mm.
towards the end, really.
Yeah. How heavy was the weight of responsibility on you for making it right for the MND community?
Massive, yeah. I mean, that's what you want to get it right for the
Mm.
MND community in honor of the people living with it and the people who've lost to MND. So once the symptoms really started to kick in for Paul, and we started to get messages from people living with it themselves saying they recognize little bits in themselves, and that was just the biggest kind of compliment really we
Yeah.
could have got
Mm.
for the
Mm.
storyline to hear from people and the families, that they really see something in it of themselves as well, and you
Mm.
know grateful that we were doing this storyline.
You've done so much work with the MND Association, and I know that Corrie often does do work with charities, but it really feels like this one, above almost all others, Corrie has really pushed to the forefront, hasn't it? What are some of the ways that you've worked with them to get that message across?
With the MND Association
Mm.
as well. Yeah, well, yeah, like you say, Corrie have really gone above and beyond with this one. I mean, you've obviously seen the beautiful adverts that they have in the ad breaks as well.
Hmm.
It's got, Corrie have put their name behind that as well, and I can't recall if they might have done that in the past, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
It's
remember.
not a regular thing anyway, so
No.
it was really special, and yeah, I just think it goes to show that just how much that has resonated with people, the
Mm.
whole kind of MND story, and the people that are living with it.
Mm. And even you've done your charity runs for it, haven't you? Is running something that you
Yeah,
were into before, or is it a new hobby that you picked up?
but I don't know. I did it years. I used to do it at high school. I was on the cross country team,
Uh,
the only sports team I was in. I can run, but if you put a ball in front of me, I'll trip up and fall on my face. So yeah, I've not run for a long time, but it was really good fun. I did that this year and the year before,
Mm.
both 10K, and it was great fun actually. And it's an amazing day. The atmosphere is so good. You've got people, running for relatives and people cheering you along the way, and it can get quite emotional.
Mm.
It was really, yeah, and I'll probably do it again next year as well. So yeah, and yeah, getting involved with the M&D charities, obviously. As soon as I found out I was doing this storyline, Dan invited me along to
Right.
some fundraisers that he's already a member of and going to. So yeah, we've been going to loads now, and yeah, they've got me as a lifelong supporter and fundraiser.
Brilliant. You talked earlier about meeting Rob Burrow as well. How did that affect your
Hmm.
performance? And did he give you any advice?
Um, well, yeah, it was lovely to meet both of them for a start. I mean, they came in quite early on in the
Right.
storyline. Um, Obviously by that point, Rob, he was quite far gone with M&D.
Mm.
He didn't say much, but he did prepare a little, speech just thanking us for doing this storyline in the first place. And yeah, it was great to meet Rob and Lindsay. Sad to see, obviously, what
Yeah,
M&D had taken from him. And yeah, I think it kind of made the scenes we did that afternoon a little bit more poignant.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Is As far as you know, is there much discussion in the writers' room about how to balance the plot that was running through this storyline with the day-to-day life of living with MND?
To be honest, I wouldn't really know that much about that
Mm.
side of it, really. I mean, obviously, we get the scripts, and by that point, I think all that's been taken care of, really.
Mm.
Um, but I do know the MND Association, we're heavily involved with especially getting those, day to day kind of facts in, and the how do we get money for the stair lift, for the chair,
Mm.
things like that real people deal with. Um, and also, how it affects the carers as well. Obviously,
Mm.
that's a massive part of it. Um, I mean, I think they touched on a lot of areas that I personally would want them to have done
Mm.
in this storyline. Um, so yeah, it's no, I'm very proud of how it's all been kind of
Yeah.
how it's
I
all
think they got it
unraveled.
right because you've got to
Mm.
show the what day-to-day life is like. But I think even Ian McLeod has said himself that we need to have plot and story going on as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a
It's a
drama
soap.
show, so
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
you need that drama,
Mm.
and that's life, obviously.
Yeah,
It's not all and even with the such a heavy subject matter, it's the great thing about Corrie is like it's still got the humor. There's still the humor there.
yeah,
Paul's sense of humor didn't leave him even up to the last day. He was telling Billy to jog on to go find his
yeah.
phone. And I think that's the really important stuff that I'm really kind of happy and proud of.
Mm. I think a lot of the humor for me, it felt like it started coming out in the story when you had the character of Shelley. Natalie Amber played her, didn't she? And she it seemed
Absolutely,
to me that
yes.
she showed Paul that it's okay to still have a laugh.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that bit of the story. I think Paul's short-lived friendship with Shelley was beautiful. I mean, at that point, Paul was beyond terrified of, his future. But meeting Shelley, meeting someone who could laugh in the face of such adversity was just, yeah, I think that rubbed off on Paul in quite a profound way.
Mm.
And I'm glad that it did, obviously, because, it's always good to have those funny comedic moments,
Yeah,
like getting stuck
it's
in the
not.
bath, for
Yeah.
example.
Oh, stuck in the bar pit. That was probably. I think that was one of my favorite bits out of the whole of the story, and that was a scene that
Yeah,
I didn't
same
know
here.
was coming. I loved it. Tell me about that. Was it as awkward to film as
Um,
it looked?
it was a bit, yeah. I mean, I was in a bath for the whole day filming, really. So I was quite wrinkly by the
Yeah, a bit
end of
wrinkly by the
it.
end.
But yeah, no, it was a great day filming. We had a special set built for Billy's bathroom because obviously you never see that, so they had to
No.
build that up, which I think ended up bigger than the main set for his front room. But there you go. So it was great fun, yeah, yeah. So it was me and Dan for most of the day, and it was great fun. And then obviously we had Gareth, Harriet, and Trevor show up. And yeah, again, that was just one of those amazingly hilarious, but really heartfelt episodes that Corrie just do so well.
Yeah, it was really funny, but I one of my favorite moments in it was the bit where he kind of confesses to Billy, "Oh, I've been going to church. I've got
Mm,
baptized." I loved that, and it's kind of just
yeah,
what Billy wanted, wasn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, I liked that part of the storyline with Paul finding his faith
Mm.
through all this hard times as well. I thought it was a really nice way to go with it as well.
Yeah. How do you think that affected kind of Paul's outlook on life in his final 6 to 8 months after that?
Oh, I think having the faith would probably help him, I guess. Especially with Billy's faith being so strong as well.
Mm.
Absolutely, and he sees the comfort that it has brought Billy as well. And then also it was when Shelley died really as well. I think that was what kind of really kind of opened his eyes to maybe there's something bigger out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and obviously Dee Dee helped a lot with that as well because of Dee Dee's faith and everything. So it was a really nice
Mm.
kind of angle to the storyline. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I found it made the wedding quite special as well. Having the
Yeah,
ceremony, the civil ceremony, and then having the secret one in the church as well. That was lovely.
absolutely. Yeah. And
What did it
again, yeah,
mean?
that's probably one of my favorite moments, the wedding, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
as
really.
well, Corrie's first successful gay wedding as well.
Yes, I keep forgetting that, but it actually is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
a few attempts, but yeah, we actually made it.
Have you? I don't know how much you've been watching in the past couple of weeks, but speaking of churchy things, there's been a bit of a fallout between Billy and Bernie about what Paul's funeral should look like and whether it should be the banging
Mm.
rave or the traditional Christian service. I mean, we can't ask Paul, but I can ask you, what do you think Paul would have liked to have as his funeral?
Why not both? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I genuinely think Paul would want a bit of both. He definitely want the rave. There's no question about that. But obviously, I think for Billy, it want the proper send off as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've watched probably the week after Paul's death, I've still got a bit to catch up on.
Hmm.
But I've really enjoyed watching kind of the aftermath because I don't get the scripts anymore, so I don't know
No.
what's happening or anything. So it's all new again for me.
Do you think
But
you're going to
also
watch
quite
the
odd.
funeral?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch that. Yeah, yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty special. To be honest, some of the cast did send me a few pictures while they were filming
Mm.
the funeral. Yeah, so it's I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to go back a bit to talk about the physical performance and how Paul's decline, you had to portray that differently throughout the course of the 12, 18 months. How did you find that side of things, going from, not being able to grip very well to walking with a cane to what was that like?
Yeah, tricky thing, really. I mean, yeah, it was just constantly being aware of what parts of the body can't move. I mean, I suppose to start off, it wasn't too bad because it was just a hand.
Mm,
But yeah, especially when the foot drop happened and he started to walk with the cane, that was probably when it was at its most tough physically for
mm.
me as
Oh,
an
really?
actor. Um,
Getting the cane
yeah, I mean,
walk
to be
right.
honest, yeah, it got a little bit easier once Paul was in the chair, without wanting to sound disrespectful or anything, if you understand me.
Yeah.
So yeah, purely physical, the hardest bit probably was walking with the cane and everything.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously, and again, the physicality was something we really wanted to get right. I suppose the thing is with MND, it is completely different for everyone. Everyone's symptoms
mm,
completely different, start at different times, different parts of the body will go first. So there was never a set list of right, his hand needs to go first, then it needs to
mm,
be this, then it needs to be that. We had a bit of, I suppose, free license to decide what was best to show
mm, mm.
first, really.
Were there any, did it affect you physically at all? Did you have to like do any, because you were walking with the cane or sitting for these long periods of time without any move, without being able to move? Did you have to do any like special stretches or anything to prepare for it?
Um,
I don't know. What's it like?
no, not really, but I suppose like after a while, especially after a heavy week, I'd probably find in my own life I wasn't really using my right hand as much just because I'd been so used to not using it at all as Paul.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was kind of that really. But no, I didn't really, I suppose, have to do any kind of special stretches or anything. It was just constantly being aware of what parts
Yeah. You
not to move.
literally, you can't move. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember we did a scene once, and it was just at the breakfast table. It was early on, um, and the hand had already gone by this point. But in the
Mm.
scene, I just forgot, and I was drinking coffee. It was probably an empty cup, but yeah,
Of course.
yeah. I didn't realize until I think it was that night. I just woke up and I really it came to me. I was like, oh my God. So I rang the director and I was like, you need to cut around that, please, please. We can't like show me using, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It would be so disrespectful and yeah,
Mm.
wrong. So yeah, no, luckily we were able to cut around it and things. And from that moment on, I was a little bit extra careful just to
Okay.
really remember, like, you can't move that hand, don't move it. And
Yeah.
then the leg. So yeah, no, it could get really tricky at times, and especially after a big full busy week. But also it's great as an actor. I mean, that's you really want something that you can
Mm.
physically get into as well.
Yeah, I mean, I
But yeah,
guess when you found out about it, yeah, it must have been a mixture of excitement and just really, really daunting knowing that you would have to go through this. It really, well, it was a great way of showing what a great actor you were, I suppose.
but thank you. Yeah, I mean the storyline. It's been great as an actor to get your teeth into, and
Mm,
as I said, even better the fact that we can raise awareness and a bit of money and
mm,
do some good with it as well. I mean, God, you really
mm,
can't ask for more as an actor,
mm.
really,
It's
and
it
to
was
be on
it was
Corrie,
it was
to do it on
fascinating.
Corrie as well is just yeah, I still really can't get over it sometimes.
Yeah. I think like you, I didn't know a whole lot about MND beforehand, but I learned so much. I was fascinated by like the machine and the eye gaze machine and the book that you got to
But
read to
yeah,
record your own voice. How much of that was real and how much for show or the
that
technology side?
yeah, all the technology side was 100% completely real.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, yeah. So you do the voice bank. Um, so it's that book that you mentioned. Was it?
Yeah, I can't
I've
remember
got the
what it's
name of it
called.
off the top of my head. It's Still Me, something like that, I think.
Yes, it was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, it's a beautiful little. It's just like a little. It's a picture book, really. It
Mm.
probably takes about 20 minutes to read, but it somehow must you must use every kind of sound when
Yeah.
you're reading that book, and then the computer must chop it all up, rearrange all your bits and bobs, and then yeah, you've got a computerized version of your voice. And
So clever.
the first time I heard it, it's surreal. I mean, because we all know about Stephen Hawking. We're
Mm.
all familiar with his kind of voice box, which was a very more kind of text to speech
Mm.
kind of thing. But with this now, you can have obviously your personality, your voice is there. Really, it's an amazing what they can do now. Really
Yeah.
is, and the eye gaze technology as well. On top of that, that's incredible. And again, that was all real. I had to learn how to use that.
I'll
And
say because I would have just assumed that, it would have been pre-programmed in and it would have just come out when you were, but so you were actually controlling that with your eyes.
absolutely, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, in some scenes, we did a bit of a shortcut where we'd already have it ready to go, especially if it was a big sentence, because otherwise it would take me literally minutes. Sorry,
Yeah.
pardon me. But in a lot of the scenes, yeah, and it was really good to show that as well. Obviously, the time it takes, obviously, for
Mm.
someone with an eye gaze to do that, and yeah, I mean that can cause, I guess, some awkward moments. I mean, but that's the truth of it. And
Mm.
yeah, no, I'm glad that we went, full on real with the technology, and as well, it just shows people who maybe have never seen it before, just how advanced that
Yeah.
help has come along.
I suppose your learning curve with the machine would just mirror somebody with MND and how they wouldn't get to grips with it straight away, but by the end of it,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, guess we were very lucky in that way, whereas we played the whole storyline out in real time, pretty much. So
Mm.
when the eye gaze was new for me, it was new for Paul. So it
Yeah.
was okay that he was a bit slower at first, and then, towards the end, he was a dab hand at it, really, which is
It was.
yeah, what you find.
Speaking of the end, Paul's death, I thought the episode where Paul died was fantastic, start to finish. I loved it. And I think, I mean, me, like a lot of viewers, I think we expected Billy to make it to Paul's bedside for the end, but he
Mm.
didn't. But then he ended up thinking, oh, that's quite a good how they've written it. What did you feel about Billy not making it to Paul's bedside at the end?
Yeah, I mean, as sad as it is, that is life.
Mm.
Sometimes, it's not always a picture perfect ending with the family all around the bedside, although he had most of the family there. I know it was heartbreaking that Billy didn't get there in time, but as sad as it is, it's also important to show the truth of it as well, and that it's not always,
Yeah.
kind of a fairy tale ending, if you get me.
Mm. And it showed a real strength of character for Bernie as she had to let
Oh
Billy
yeah.
speak through the phone and she knew that you Bill had gone and yeah I thought it was great. What was it like lying there completely still and unresponsive while Dolly Rose and Harriet and Jane were saying these really lovely speeches?
Yeah, really hard not to get emotional while they're
Mm.
all giving those beautiful goodbyes. Um, and then trying not to breathe as well once he does go and Billy's giving that big speech. But yeah, no, it was a beautiful scene to do, and you know, it was great to be in the last scene. It was my last filmed scene as well. It was all done
Oh, I see.
chronologically as well. So yeah, that was my last scene I did. But it was lovely to have all my
Yeah.
favorite castmates there as well.
I mean, so their goodbyes were also a goodbye to Peter then, weren't they, I suppose?
Yeah, yeah, it was really. I mean, obviously, I still see the guys and that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was a weird one, really. Yeah,
I thought that Gemma's final speech to Paul was especially touching. All the stuff about
mm.
I'm like an odd sock without you. Come and find me when it's my time. I just
Yeah.
thought it was
I'm just
lovely
waiting.
how
I'm
Dolly
just
or
waiting
Gemma
for
was
the
often
parrot to
given.
show up.
Yeah, Gemma's often given. So some of the comedic scenes or the gross out how many cakes and she
Mm.
stuff in her mouth at once. But she was brilliant,
Yeah.
and I'm really pleased that they gave her that opportunity to do that in this scene.
Oh yeah. Dolly's great. Honestly, I mean, like you say, she's amazing at the comedy, but she's great at the heartfelt stuff as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just waiting for the episode where the parrot shows up.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's gonna happen. What are some of your
I'm
favorite
sure it will.
memories? What are some of your favorite memories of working with Dolly Rose over the years?
Oh wow. Well, yeah. PJ and Duncan.
Of
obviously.
course.
Yeah, we had a lot of really fun stuff early on when we were kind of at loggerheads with each other
Mm.
before we kind of reconciled. There was a lot of fun stuff there, really. The stealing Roy's dead mum's ring, if you remember that. Do you remember
I
all that?
do remember that. Yeah,
The
yeah,
big
right.
gaff. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, great stuff. And then obviously when Jane came in, we had some really nice scenes, with Bernie and the kids and
Mm.
all the
What was it like
quads.
working with
Yeah,
the quads? Is it as chaotic as it looks?
yeah. Do you know it's a lot easier these days, honestly. They're
Yeah.
so well behaved. It's great. Um, but no, honestly, they're great. It was a bit tricky when they were little kids. We had a few extras as well, and we could swap in and out.
Mm.
Um, but honestly, they're great. Honestly, you give them something to do, some colouring or some toys to play with, and
Yeah.
they'll get on with
Get
it.
on with it. So, but back to Paul's death, I think lots of viewers were expecting it to come a little bit before when we had that big special episode in the summer, the one narrated
Yeah.
by him. Was the idea that we were supposed to be kept on the edge of our seats about whether he'd make it to the end of that episode or not, do you think?
Um, I didn't really think that at the time, but yeah, looking back now, I think yeah, people definitely would have been expecting it. I think.
Mm.
Um, yeah, especially after that. Yeah, and in the morning, I think after all the kids have been there, I think people were expecting that they'd wake up to find Paul had gone.
Yeah.
But no, he had a little few more extra months left there. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? What was that episode like to film? All those long, heavy scenes with just you and Dan and the narrated parts as well. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, that was incredible. I think that episode is probably the work I'm most proud of.
Mm.
Really is. I mean, like everyone who worked on it went above and beyond, and it really felt different from filming Cora. It really did. I don't know why that is. Probably because a lot of the stuff we did in the dream sequence as well was in a different studio using different equipment and everything.
Right.
But yeah, even those scenes in the flat, it was just they were beautiful to do. And yeah, yeah, Vicky Thomas who directed it did an amazing job. And yeah, we were all really happy and proud of that episode. And
Mm. How did that all work?
yeah,
The narration scenes. How did you go about recording those parts?
how we'd go about that was we would do, I would say the internal bits out loud on the rehearsal, and record the audio for that as well,
Yeah.
so that everyone got the timing
Mm.
and things. And then when we record, I wouldn't do the internal, but we'd leave the gap. I'd do it in my head. But
Yeah.
then obviously Dan or whoever else I was acting with would also have to kind of get the timing from the rehearsal as well.
Mm.
So it was pretty tricky. Um, but I really enjoyed it. It was like a really special thing to do that, I think, and really clever to show, he's in a monologue and to show that
It
he's
was,
still
yeah.
Paul 100% there.
Yeah.
And the frustrations of not being able to communicate and not being able to say "I love you" to Billy,
Mm.
he's not hearing that. Like it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Um,
was so good, so well done. I loved it.
yeah.
Yeah. We must move on in a minute and talk about things that Paul has done other than the MND. But I do want to talk about that skinny dipping scene as well because that was another
Oh yeah.
surprising moment. What was that? What was that like to film? A little bit embarrassing, or?
It was no, it was great fun. I mean,
Oh,
we had
good.
flesh-colored pants on, so we weren't,
Yeah.
completely
Not properly in the
anabolic.
bath.
I was going to say that, but yeah, but it was great fun. It was a lovely day. We were at that lake pretty much all day. It was beautiful. The last like couple of scenes where we were in the water did get a bit nippy towards the end. But again, it was great fun to do, and we had that amazing drone shot
Yeah.
that went up, and yeah, yeah. No, I've been very lucky. I've had some amazing kind of scenes and kind of little set pieces over the years that I've been involved in. It's been yeah, great.
So scrolling back then, 6 years, first appearance on Coronation Street. I know that when you had those prison scenes with David, it was only for a few small episodes, but can you remember what it was like to get that part on Coronation Street, how you felt?
Oh yeah, no, it's over the moon. Like I'd auditioned for various parts over the years on Cora,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, yeah, I can't remember what, so don't quick quiz me on that. But yeah, no, obviously amazing to be finally have a bit of time on the cobbles. It was great, yeah, yeah, and Jack was lovely to film with. And then yeah, I didn't really think much more of it. I just thought it was a really nice little bit I
Mm.
got to do. I think it was two, no, it's three eps, I think, all in all, which was
Yeah,
a
I think
really
it
nice
was.
for for a little guest role. That's a really nice
Mm.
um little stretch. That so yeah, and I think it was maybe 6 months later or so. My agent got in touch and was just like, right, yeah, they're kind of interested in bringing. Well, they want to bring you back
Mm.
as this character. Well, he was already called Paul Foreman, so I think that's where the whole
Yeah.
surname problem came from. But yeah, I was being told that this would be a twin of Gemma and eventual love interest of Billy. So I was like, wow, this is incredible. I guess the rest is Corrie history, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Were any of your friends and family Corrie watchers when you got the part?
Oh yeah, I mean, my mum and dad have watched it all their lives.
Oh,
Like
really?
I grew up watching it with them. I remember as a kid when the Corrie theme came on at the end, that meant it was time for bed, time to get upstairs and brush your teeth. Like,
Did
yeah, I
your
mean, I
mum
think
get a
as
part
any.
on Corrie, just a little part last
Oh,
year?
she does. Yeah, she does supporting artist work.
Yeah.
So when I got on Corrie, I kind of got her a few, like, got her in with the supporting artist casting, and so she's done a few bits on there. Yeah, but she did actually have a scene where they give her a line.
Mm.
It was when Paul was getting off the bus. Yeah, I was getting off the bus and I fell
Yeah,
because
that's
of the
it.
MD, and she was getting on, and she was like, "Oh, drunk at this time of the day." She's Scottish, by the way. That's a terrible accent. So yeah, it was lovely. I got to do a scene with
That
my
must have
real
been
mum.
nice. Must have been nice.
It was
Oh,
lovely, yeah, yeah, and she still does bits as well. I think she
does
was on
she?
the other night.
Oh,
I think
really?
the episode after uh, I I died in it. She was in the flower shop. That scene.
Ah.
Um, you wouldn't
Oh,
know if you didn't. You know what I
no,
mean?
no.
Probably saw the back of her head in it, but yeah, yeah. So
I'll have to
she's
keep
still
my
working
eye
there. Yeah.
out. How important was it when you went back into Coronation Street for the longer role that you got that relationship with Gemma right? Because she's been on the show for years and we had no idea that she had a sibling. It must have been quite important to establish, no, no, we really are twins.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. And I mean, I know we don't look identical, but I think there's a little bit of a
Yeah, no, yeah.
resemblance a bit. I don't know. But yeah, obviously it was you wanted to get a good bond across, really. But I suppose it also helped a bit in the fact that they were estranged for such a long
Yeah.
time, so they didn't need to be so similar. And even identical twins aren't, they
No.
have their own personalities and things, don't they? So,
Mm.
but yeah, it was great, and obviously Dolly's great to work with, and we had some really fun stuff at the beginning, well, even towards the end as well.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was pretty crazy
You
to
had a
be
lot of
kind
fun
of.
stuff there, but you also had the other really heavy plot in your first year with Cal and Paul's the historic abuse of Paul. Well, that must have been pretty tough being thrown into such a big story like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, really. Because that was quite early on as well, really,
Mm.
in Paul's time on the show. So again, it was great to be kind of trusted with a nice kind of meaty storyline to get into.
Would you say that knowing what Paul had been through as a child so early on affected how you played him in the following years? You know, that he was damaged or
Do you mean after the abuse storyline?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, a bit, yeah, but I guess through the abuse storyline, there was the kind of Paul's realization that he had been groomed because he didn't think he had been for the longest time, and it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
really until he saw those old pictures he realized how young he was
Mm.
and how innocent he was, and um, yeah, yeah. I guess that whole storyline again, it all kind of strengthened Paul and Billy's relationship as well because obviously Billy was a great,
Mm.
he was there for Paul during all that and really helped him through it. Um,
Yeah.
so Todd threw a spanner in the
Of
works.
course, Todd.
Oh, Todd.
That three
No, I
gay
love
dads
Gareth. He's great.
relationship. I think a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's two now, isn't it? But yeah.
It is now. Do you
It
think
could
had you
find
been in
out.
the show longer, could Paul and Todd have got together? Would they have worked as an item?
I don't think. I think if Paul wouldn't have had MND and he would have been in there for a longer time,
Yeah.
yeah, possibly. I think that was also there's quite a fan favorite. That I think there was a lot of people. I think shipping Paul and Todd. I think it was the kind of antagonistic kind of dynamic they had, but
Yeah,
which became really nice and like a really nice kind of bromance towards the end as well. Like
yeah, it
the
did.
scene they had with Gareth in that big episode was absolutely beautiful, and
Mm,
Gareth knocked it out of the park as well. And
mm.
yeah, no, I've been very lucky with the people I've been acting alongside for the past 6 years. So.
Yeah, yeah. One of Paul's final wishes was that Billy found love again afterwards. Do you think that they're going to go down the route of putting Todd and Billy back together again, or do you think that's a relation
Ooh,
in the
I
past?
don't know. You know what? I really don't know. I mean, they could take it anyway. It's Cora. Anything can happen.
Mm.
But whether it's Todd or not, um, I'm sure he will find love again, and I hope he does.
He'll go
He
back to
needs
Sean
to.
again, couldn't he?
Could do. Anything could happen.
So, what would you say you would like Paul's legacy to be on the show now he's gone? How are
Oh,
we going to remember him?
no, I guess a bit of a kind of diamond in the rough type character. Bit rough and ready. But he's got a heart under there. And
Mm.
if he cares about you, he'll fight to the death for you. And yeah, just kind of like a bit of a cheeky chappy lad.
Yeah. But that's how he came. He was a bit of a thief right at the beginning, wasn't he? Wasn't that one of
He
your
was a
first
he's a
scenes?
right wronger.
Picking the
Yeah, no,
fiver up off the floor in the cafe, or nearly going to.
absolutely.
Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did you pinch anything off the set as in a tribute to Paul? Have you got any bits and bobs memorabilia from your time there?
I've got some lovely Polaroids from the wedding we did because obviously Summer was taking Polaroids and that and everything. I really wanted Paul's rainbow unicorn onesie, but that's in the museum
It
now,
is just in the
so I'm not
experience
getting
now.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. On a mannequin that's like 7 feet tall. I don't know if you've seen it. So no, I didn't really keep much. Just a few little knickknacks, like I said, the Polaroids. Um, and yeah, just a load of memories
Got the
that I'll
memories.
take as well. Yeah.
So tell me what's coming up next for you. I believe you got a panto to give a bit of a plug to.
Oh yes, yeah, I'm doing Panto like you do this Christmas.
Mhm.
Just up the road in Oldham, so that'll be all right. Yeah, we're doing Aladdin, and I'm the evil Abanazar, so
Oh,
it'll be fun to do proper ham it up, and yeah, that'll
yeah.
be great fun.
Have you been villain before in any of your other roles? Because I know you were in Footballers' Wives and a few other things. Is this your first proper villain role, even if it is just a panto?
Proper full on, I suppose. Vill. I've played some like nasty guys and that, but yeah, yeah, this is probably full on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Ooh,
Hopefully,
bad
you'll
guy.
really enjoy it.
Yeah,
And
it's
what,
going to
what
be
about
great
after?
fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, what about after that? Have you got any other types of roles that you'd quite fancy doing next?
Oh, I don't know really. I mean, I've always been like a jobbing actor, so as long as it's work, I'd kind of be happy with that. Film, TV, radio, I don't really care.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I think after this, I mean, obviously I am doing something light-hearted with Panto,
yeah,
but yeah, it'd be nice to do something a bit more, yeah, maybe a bit of comedy or something after Paul's story. But who
yeah.
knows? We'll see. I'm excited to see what's next as well, and
Mm.
yeah, see what's out
Oh,
there.
Corey's a great springboard. Look, Peter, thank you so
Well,
much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed talking to you this evening. I'll say it
that's-
again, that this MND storyline has been some top rate Corey over the last year and a half. So thank you so much for coming on and telling us a
oh,
bit
no
more
problem.
about
Thank you for your
how
kind
it
words, and yeah. Cheers. Hope I didn't waffle
worked.
too much.
No, not at all. That's what the podcast's all about. We're all about waffling. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. And good luck for the other awards that you've got still in the pipeline. Hopefully, you've got a few other nominations that hopefully might go your way as well.
Well, we'll see ya. So, thank you very much. Anyway, you have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
All
Cheers.
the
Bye
best.
bye.